In this video, we're going to go over 5 common types of automobile searches that you see. So what happens is the police will pull somebody over for a routine traffic violation, and then that investigation will ultimately end up leading to either a drug arrest or a gun arrest by a prohibited person, meaning someone who cannot possess a firearm. So these types of searches are exceptions to the search warrant requirement, which would have given probable cause to search the automobile. These are just things that happen, and they're logical extensions of the police officer finding probable cause on his own. So the first one I want to talk about is things that are in plain view. In this situation, the police officer would go to the cabin of the car and he would observe something that he believes to be contraband. Normally it's drugs, but if he knows that someone's a convicted felon and they have a gun, then that would be evidence of a crime. So it's in plain view. This means the officer can see what it is that he's looking for. And in some instances, probable cause is determined by smell. If the officer says, I smelled burning marijuana, based on my training and experience, I know what marijuana smells like, then that could establish probable cause to even justify a search of a car. The second scenario I want to talk about is consent. Now, with consent, it is the driver of the car that gives permission for the officer to search it. So how does that take place? Well, normally it takes place really through a trick by the police officer. What you'll see happen is the police officer will pull somebody over for a routine traffic infraction, pretty minor, and say, hey, look, I'm gonna go and run your license. If it comes back clean, that you don't have any outstanding tickets or you're insured and all that stuff, all I'm gonna do is give you a warning. And the driver's like, okay, their guard is dropped, and they say, hey, look, well, I'm waiting for dispatch to run your name, check out your license, check out your insurance, and check out your registration. Do you mind if I just take a quick look around the search? You know, because sometimes people smuggle all sorts of things on the internet, on the interstate. And for whatever reason, people tend to go along with that. And when I say people, I mean people who have drugs in their car. And sure enough, drugs end up being found. Now, in these cases, what is important is whether or not the consent was freely and voluntarily given. Did the officer coerce the person so that if they wanted to have a chance at getting out of the situation, then they had to say yes. That is normally something that is discussed in a motion to suppress evidence, but that is really the line of attack. Is this consent freely given? Is it a voluntary act on the part of the driver? The next extension of that is what happens when someone says, no, I don't consent, is the use of a canine, a dog that is trained in narcotics detection. Like they can smell the natural narcotics product like marijuana, cocaine, heroin. That dog will go around the car, and if it alerts on something, because of the heightened sense of smell, then that establishes probable cause. Remember, if the officer smells burning marijuana, that's probable cause. This dog can smell packaged marijuana. This dog can smell packaged cocaine, packaged heroin. So there's a couple of ways to attack this. First is that you cannot have someone on the side of the road waiting forever for the dog to show up, which is why in some jurisdictions the canine unit actually runs the traffic interdiction on the interstate. The second is you want to look at the training of both the dog and the handler as a unit to see just how reliable of a dog this is. And then you can also get an expert to look if there's a body camera or a dash camera to see how the dog is acting, to see if the officer gives a false signal or a false alert. But we can talk about that another time. The next is exception to the warrant requirement for searching a car deals when you are placing the person under arrest for something and you want to search out evidence for that crime. So if you are arresting someone on an outstanding drug warrant, yeah, you may be able to search the car for drugs. If you are arresting them because they have an outstanding warrant for murder, you may be able to search the car for murder weapons or crime or signs of foul play in the car. So you can search the car for evidence of the crime for which you are arresting the person. DWI, you can look for beer. Probably can't look in the trunk for that though. So then the last evidence exception, or the exception for the warrant requirement on an automobile search, is what's called an inventory search. The person is being arrested for something. They may not see anything in the passenger compartment to search, but now the officer has to have the car towed. And so to protect him, his agency, and the tow yard from liabilities that someone stole property, they're going to go through all of the contents of the car, catalog everything. For most people, this would be like a wallet, a purse, maybe a gym bag, some tennis shoes, kids' toys, car seats, what have you. But if there's drugs in the gym bag, now that is a permissible search, and you can be prosecuted for that, even though the basis for arresting you had nothing to do with drugs. Again, I know we've gone over a lot of topics on automobile searches today. If you have any questions, you can email me. I'll have my email at the link below, or you can call me at 225-927-1234. Thank you.